So what's your suggestion to the international community on this question?
I personally, in the light of the experience of my own country and as a mediator, I don't like outsiders being prescriptive. So I don't support the position that comes usually from human rights organizations where they say, Burundi, you must have or should have war trials. I think that's completely lacking. I think it's arrogant. I think it's disrespectful. I think it fails to appreciate how excruciating this dilemma is. And I think the more respectful and smart position is to allow the people of each country confronted with this problem to work it out for themselves. Now they need our help. They need our help in terms of comparative research. It's fantastic to know what happened in Argentina, what happened in Chile, what happened in Germany, what are the options, but let us work this thing out for ourselves, because whatever compromise or deal or arrangement we determine, it has to be sustainable. And it's only sustainable if we forged it. Now, we have to throw into all of this, there is now the International Criminal Court. And this is an external actor by definition. So, without getting into all the details and complexities of the ICC, I want to make a point about external pressure. When conflict is intractable, by definition, it can't be solved quickly or easily. And one or more of the parties is resistant to negotiations, as the National Party in South Africa was for decades. And as President Mugabe in Zimbabwe has been for a long time. So the question arises, how do you shift, how do you budge that party? How do you push that party towards negotiations? I think that's how the question should be framed. Because the party's not disappearing. It's not just Mugabe, it's his entire party and the security chiefs. So, in the case of South Africa, it's not simply President Botha or President de Klerk, it's an entire party with a constituency. They're not going anywhere there. We're all fated to coexist in the same country. So the question is, how do you push them towards negotiations with their enemy? And the short answer is that we don't know. We don't know with any certainty. The history of sanctions is mixed. It's inconclusive. Sanctions have worked in some cases, but not others. The danger with sanctions, well, the potential benefit of sanctions, of course, is that they push the recalcitrant party towards negotiations because you're heightening the pain of prolonged conflict. The danger is that you strengthen the hardliners' position in that party against the moderates in that party. And there's similarly the danger that you embolden that party's opposition. Because they think, oh, my enemy's under enormous international pressure now. No need for me to go to the table. Let me sit this thing out as they get weaker and weaker. The Darfur rebels have been emboldened by the ICC arrest warrants against President Bashir of Sudan. So sanctions are not automatically going to have the effect that you want. And you don't know in advance what effect threats, coercion and punishment will have. What are the likely consequences, for example, of the ICC arrest warrants against President Bashir in Sudan? We don't know. We don't know. Does this push Bashir towards negotiations? I think surely not. That door's now shut. What's his interest in negotiations? It doesn't get him off the hook. The arrests can be suspended, but they're not going to be withdrawn. Is there the possibility of Bashir being overthrown by moderates? It's possible, it doesn't seem likely. Is it possible that hardliners in Khartoum will gain dominance over moderates? That seems more likely. But to be honest, we don't know in advance. And there is already the situation that Bashir has kicked out of Darfur humanitarian agencies at great cost to the civilian population of Darfur. So I think we have to think more carefully about what kind of pressure would most helpfully push people towards negotiations rather than away from negotiations. But to be honest, we don't know in advance. And so I think we need to proceed with great caution. In summary, I'm not arguing against pressure or a combination of pressure and incentives, but I think we ought to be honest enough to admit that we are uncertain about the impact of those strategies.